You picked the reddest ground beef on the shelf. What if it already had 3 birthdays? Today, a farmer blows the lid off the reworking trick that blends yesterday's meat into today's grind and resets the clock.
When you buy meat at the grocery store, you look for steak that's bright red because it looks the freshest. But many supermarkets use a special gas in packages that keeps the meat looking fresh for much longer. The process is safe, but Lisa Guerrero reports some people think it could be misleading consumers.
It's because it's being packed and gassed in a special process that most people never heard about, using a harmless amount of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, which keeps the meat looking fresh and bright red. Looks bright red and juicy, but this piece of meat is not safe to eat. Believe it or not, it's been sitting out for 11 days. So how could it still look so fresh?
We'll show you why color lies, how carbon monoxide keeps meat cherry red, and the label clues that matter more than the hue. If you want your family eating fresh, not recycled, you're in the right place. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video.
Dr. Ed Mills is a professor of meat science at Penn State University, and he says the color of the meat doesn't necessarily indicate it's fresh.
How long through this process can you make a piece of meat continue to look bright red?
To look red. A long time. A long time.
2 days, 3 days?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
The consumer can't believe their eyes.
Because the consumer can't tell to look at the product that this is 2 weeks old or 3 weeks old. They have to look at the sell-by date on the package.
Let's start with that bright red pack you just grabbed. Your eyes went straight to the color. But the real tell is a slim line of print near the barcode, the pack date, the grind time, or a tiny, previously handled note. That line is quiet on purpose. It answers a question you probably never thought to ask. Stores use a playbook with a neat name, reworking. Meat that's getting old gets a haircut, edges trimmed, dry bits shaved off, and then it takes a ride through the grinder with new trim. Out the other side comes a fresh blend with a new label. It looks like today's meat. Parts of it aren't. Here's where it gets slippery. The color looks perfect. The date looks recent. Yet that meat has lived a few lives. How does that even pass? It passes because the rules focus on how the meat was held, time and temperature, more than whether it looks brand new. If the log says cold enough, long enough, it can be reworked. Walk through the life cycle.
To demonstrate how well carbon monoxide gas works, we left 2 cuts of lamb out at room temperature. One was gas-packed, the other no gas. After a few days, the untreated meat turns a dark, unappealing color. We had the meat analyzed in a lab, and it's no surprise that both cuts are loaded with bacteria.
Probably after a few days in room temperature, it's not fresh, but it looks fresh.
But the gas-packed meat stays red, even after being left out for 8 days. The only visible sign of spoilage is the package puffing out and a bad odor when open.
Day 1, boxes roll off the truck. The case gets stocked. A few days in, those steaks and roasts creep toward the sell-by. Staff pull them from the case. They trim off the outer browning, stack the salvageable bits, and blend them into the next grind. The grinder runs. The scale prints a clean label with a current pack time that fits within policy. Then it goes back in the case beside meat from this morning's delivery. Same day on the sticker, different story in the tray. Color props that up. Some packages sit in modified gas, carbon monoxide mixed into the pack. It fixes the pigment so it stays cherry red.
Don Nicolai heads a union that represents butchers in New Jersey. He thinks meat should be fresh cut in stores by trained butchers.
Tell the consumer, put up a big sign saying, we do not cut any fresh meat in this store.
Without refrigerated storage, I can't assure that the product is safe to consume.
A consumer can't look on the ingredients here and see that there's gas added to this package.
No, they'd have no way of knowing it.
He told us to talk to this union butcher in New Jersey.
All of the meat that I see here in this display wasn't actually cut here.
No,
None of it's cut here.
Think of it like a filter over a tired selfie. You see glow, not age. So red doesn't equal fresh. it equals treated. Grinding hides a lot, too. When you chop and mix, you erase the tells. Fat that would smear on a pan, mixed in, moisture loss that would look like dry edges on a steak. You won't see it in a grind. It's like tossing soft fruit into a smoothie. The color looks good. The taste tells you later. Regulators know color misleads, which is why they allow modified atmosphere packaging and point to process controls instead. The safety markers they lean on are cold chains, handling logs, and time limits, not the shade in the tray. That's the system. Follow the logs, keep it cold, label it within the window. The pigment can glow all week.
Ground beef products that may be contaminated. The government has issued an alert about meat from the Greater Omaha Packing Company. Some of it has tested positive for E. coli. The beef was produced last month with a freeze-by date of yesterday.
Some of the products include ShopRite hamburgers and Landis brand beef patties. We have a complete list of the affected products and their produced on dates on kdka.com/recalls.
In a busy meat counter, a serious chunk of ground beef is often reworked trim folded into the batch. That matters. Older trim changes how a burger cooks. You get a looser, pasty bite or a patty that weeps in the pan and never browns right. You lose snap, you lose beef flavor, and you lose trust. You thought you were buying one grind with a clear origin. What you got is a blend that hides its age behind a new timestamp. So what can you do in that aisle? Treat dates as clues, not verdicts. That sell-by is mostly inventory control. The pack date tells you when it hit that tray. If the grind time is shown, newer is better. Ask one question: did you grind this in-house today? A straight answer beats a glossy label. If they can't tell you, that's your cue to move on. And remember the color trap. That neon red is staged. Gas keeps the pigment happy long after the flavor clocks out. Your nose can help, but it's often late because cold, sealed meat doesn't scream until you break the pack. By then you've bought it, driven it home, and learned a lesson in your sink. The real kicker is simple. Freshness isn't a shade, it's a timeline you can verify. Look for that quiet line of print. Scan for today's pack. Favor stores that post grind times and say when they made it. If you're stuck choosing between a dazzling red pack with no details and a slightly duller pack with a clear date and in-house grind, pick the one that tells you the truth. If reworking hides age, let's talk about the gas that keeps it glowing and why your nose is often late to the party. Color is theater. The truth is, your real safety rails are sourcing you trust, dates you can verify, and a meat counter that tells you when the grinder ran. Treat labels like a map, not a mood ring, so act on it. Check the pack date and the grind time. Ask, was this ground in-house today? If you're watching sodium, skip enhanced poultry. You're paying for water and a salt bump you didn't order. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like, subscribe and share it with someone. Next, we'll spot saltwater injected chicken, and why your grill keeps dripping water instead of juice.